The following is a paid program for Dick Ray, Master Plumber. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosting guests and do not represent the opinion of KMBZ or Entercom Kansas City.
Your furnace blows cold air, and your air conditioner doesn't. The water seems to go everywhere you don't want it to, and your kitchen and bath haven't been remodeled since the 50s. Well, welcome to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. Kansas City has depended on Dick Ray and Shawnee Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling to solve heating, cooling, plumbing, and remodeling problems for over 50 years. All you need to do is call 576-7798. And now the Master Plumber with a degree in mechanical engineering is here to help. Here's the potentate of pipes, the Earl of Electricity, the Emperor of Air, the Imperial Poobah of Plumbing, the Grand Toileteer, the Master Plumber, Dick Ray.
Hey, good morning. Well, it's getting colder out there. Ooh, colder every day. If you haven't had, if you got an older furnace and you haven't had it checked by somebody like me to make sure that the heat exchanger is still safe and not leaking fumes and carbon monoxide into your house, now's the time to get it done. Routine maintenance, all that stuff ought to be done. Should be done by now, but we're still doing that. There's always some that wait till the bitter end. I guess maybe I'm that way myself sometimes. Anyway, now's the time to get it done. It's getting colder. It's going to be, I think, the high in the 30s this next week. So anyway, it's inevitable. Before we get going here, I got to tell you a story. This happened to me last night, or actually, this story starts, oh golly, 6 months ago, I guess. And I usually, for entertainment, I don't stray very far from Lewisburg usually. On a Saturday night, I'll go into Timber Creek or the tavern, their local bars/restaurants down in Lewisburg, and a lot of times they'll have a good band on Saturday night. So that's my entertainment for the night. It doesn't take much to entertain me. But 6 months ago, I heard this band down there, and I've heard them a couple of times in Lewisburg, and I'm just going to put a plug in for them. They're the most amazing group. They're the best band I've heard in Lewisburg, and you're going to say, yeah, well, that's probably right. Lewisburg. Anyway, these guys are good. The name of the band, and I heard them again last night, the name of the band is Flanagan's Right Hook. There's just three guys in this band. I'm an old rock and roller, and these guys, I guess they bill themselves as an Irish band, but they do a wide variety of music. Just three guys in the band. There's a guitar player, a drummer, and then a guy that plays an electric fiddle. And I don't know how three guys can make a sound like they do, but they are wonderful. So anyway, I've heard them a couple of times in Lewisburg, and I've been kind of following them on the internet, and I found out they were playing up at Llewellyn's in Overland Park last night, and I said, man, I got to go up there. Went up there and heard them, and they were magnificent as usual. Ran into a couple of friends from Lewisburg that went up there too, and met some nice, pretty girls to talk to, and just had a good time in general. But anyway, Flanagan's Right Hook, I got to tell you, they're a local band, and, I'm just saying this because it's true. They're not paying me to plug them or anything. They just are fantastic. Three young guys that make a sound that just, wonderful. And I mean, they're an Irish band, but they do a little Beatles. They did some Roy Orbison. They even did a couple of Johnny Cash songs. Now, how can one band do Johnny Cash and the Beatles? Anyway, if you ever get the chance to hear them, they're good. Let's see here. Now we better get back to what we're supposed to be doing here. This is the Home Improvement Hour, so we're not supposed to do rock and roll band reviews here. So we'll get back to what we're supposed to be doing. If you haven't heard the show before, what we talk about are the things that I do every day for a living. I do plumbing, heating, and air conditioning work, do a lot of kitchen and bath remodeling. That's what we talk about on this show. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, I know a lot of do-it-yourselfers listen to the show to pick up tips, and because they know that I'll tell you anything that I know if it'll help you make your project go better. I also know a lot of people listen to the show just to get ideas about improvements that they may want to make to their own house. Maybe your house was built, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you know that there have been improvements coming down the road, and maybe these are things that you want to incorporate in your house, like a higher efficiency heating and cooling system, or changes in the bathroom or kitchen that'll update and modernize your house. Well, anyway, whatever your reason for listening, we're glad that you're here. I'm here every Sunday from 11 to noon on KMBZ. And I picked a topic today that has to do with all this cold weather that is rapidly coming upon us, and as it gets colder and colder outside, we just do more and more furnace service and repairs in my business. That's just normal this time of year when it gets cold. And today I'm going to tell you a story that demonstrates a point, that's something that really you and I both have to be careful about when we're making repairs to an older furnace. Now, this story I'm going to tell you has to do with a Lennox pulse furnace that one of my customers called me to repair a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and he wanted me to repair it because it was having a difficult time igniting. It was doing a lot of spitting and sputtering before it finally ignited, and once it finally lit, it was okay, but winter's coming, and naturally this homeowner didn't want to get stuck on a cold winter day with no heat, so he called me and said, "Hey Dick, I want you to come out here and fix my pulse furnace for me." Well, the pulse furnace is one that I am very well familiar with. I'm a Lennox dealer, and Lennox is the company that made the pulse furnace, and I've installed many of them over the years. And I actually still have 2 of them installed in my own office to heat my office and showroom in Overland Park. And when Lennox first came out with the pulse furnace, probably 30 plus years ago, it was the very first furnace to be manufactured by any furnace manufacturer, which was over 90% efficient. Actually, a lot of the models were as high as 97% efficient. So it was the very first of the true high-efficiency furnaces to be made by any manufacturer. And until that time, most furnaces, most of them were only about 65% efficient. It was a magnificent furnace, and it used about 1/3 less gas than what the competition had at the time. It was just a really good deal. It was a furnace that was ahead of its time. Magnificent furnace, and Lennox has the right to be very proud of being the company to invent it and put it on the market, the first high-efficiency furnace. But pulse furnaces, they have been manufactured now for probably 15 years, maybe more than that. And so pulse furnaces are getting up there in age, and nothing, no matter how good it is, lasts forever. Well, the man in my story that I'm getting ready to tell had a pulse furnace that was 25 years old, and it was kind of spitting and sputtering when it started, and he wanted the problem fixed, so he called me. And I talked to this customer myself and pointed out to him that since his furnace was 25 years old, and since the heat exchanger on the furnace hadn't been pressure tested to see if it was safe, hadn't been tested for quite a few years, that we really should pressure test the heat exchanger before we just made repairs to the furnace. And I made this recommendation for several reasons. The first was that, the furnace was 25 years old, which is old for a furnace, and the heat exchanger could be leaking and letting fumes and carbon monoxide into his house, which is dangerous. And Lennox says that the pulse heat exchanger should be pressure tested every 4 years to make sure the furnace is still safe. So I made the recommendation that we test it just for safety reasons. The second reason I recommended testing the heat exchanger is that, a leak in the heat exchanger could actually be the cause of the spitting and sputtering that his furnace was doing when it ignited. And the third reason that I recommended a heat exchanger test is that if the heat exchanger was leaking and unsafe, the furnace needed to be replaced, and we sure didn't want to be making repairs to a furnace which was unsafe and really just needed to be replaced. Well, anyway, the man agreed with my suggestions, and I set an appointment for our technician to come out and check out the furnace. Well, in this story, the final outcome was good for my customer. My technician, Dan, pressure tested the heat exchanger, and it tested good. It held pressure, so the furnace was safe. It wasn't leaking carbon monoxide and fumes into his house. And at that point, Dan went ahead with the troubleshooting process and fixed the problem, which turned out to be, thank goodness, relatively minor. And I believe that the main part of the problem was that the air flapper material and the air flapper diaphragm needed replaced, which Dan did, making the furnace purr like a kitten the way it was supposed to. Well, on this job, the 25-year-old furnace heat exchanger tested good, but that isn't always the case. And in a few weeks, I'm going to tell you the story of another older furnace where inspection of the heat exchanger showed holes in the heat exchanger, which would have made repairing the heat exchanger, or repairing the furnace, repairing the furnace, it would have made it a foolish move. Well, luckily, we didn't just repair the furnace. Our technician was out there and tested the heat exchanger. It was bad. And anyway, I'll tell you this story on a later show. It actually was kind of a tough decision to make, and I'll get into that again on a later show. But anyway, my point is that if your furnace is getting older, and by older, I mean 15 years old or more, because 15 years is old for a furnace. 15 or 20 years is probably the average life expectancy of a furnace. Or if the furnace just has a lot of rust on the burners or heat exchanger, that's a danger signal. You really want to check the heat exchanger carefully before you spend any time or money repairing it. Heat exchanger test is generally not very difficult to do, doesn't cost much, and you sure don't want to repair a furnace that has a leaking heat exchanger and is unsafe and needs to be replaced. Another thing you want to keep in mind is that if your furnace is 15 or 20 years old and the technician comes out, but you don't have any heat, and the technician comes out and he said, well, we can fix this, but it's, you're going to spend $600, $800, whatever, for new ignition module, motor, whatever the case may be. You need to really think long and hard. Do you want to spend $600 or $800 on a 15 or 20-year-old furnace, keeping in mind that the likelihood of the furnace lasting a whole lot longer isn't that great? Might be a wiser decision to take that $600 and add some more to it and just get a new furnace and get something that is not going to be 15 or 20 years old, is brand new, higher efficiency, probably lower fuel bills to operate it, warranty of 5 years on parts and labor. Just not always wise just to blindly go ahead and repair a furnace. Well, anyway, that's about it. The phone lines are now officially open. If you have any questions about furnaces or boilers or furnace repairs or problems or heat exchangers or heat exchanger testing, give me a holler. If you call right now, or of course call if you have any questions about really anything else. Call us if you have a question about something else mechanical in your house or your home, or if you have a do-it-yourself project maybe that you'd like to have a little bit of help with. Of course, I'll be glad to talk about that too. And keep in mind that I do the things that we talk about on this show every day for a living. You probably already figured out that I am not a professional radio person. That's an easy one to figure out anyway. So what I do for a living are the things that we talk about on this show, and that would include fixing and replacing broken air conditioners and furnaces and heat pumps and plumbing repairs, as well as complete kitchen and bath remodeling also. So if I can pass on any information to you that'll help you, I'm more than glad to do it. All you got to do is pick up the phone right now, and our number is 576-7798, so give us a call. Again, our number is 576-7798. This is the best part of the show coming up, where we're going to talk about the questions that you have, the things that you see going on in your own home. Your furnace is making a funny noise or doing something that you don't know whether it's something you need to worry about or just ignore it and go on. Maybe you're considering making changes in your house, a more efficient heating system, and you have questions about, should I get a heat pump? Should I get a gas furnace? What's the best deal for me in my scenario? Anyway, you've got to make this part of the show happen by picking up the phone and giving us a call. So let's get her done. This is the time of the show when all of the lines are open, so you're guaranteed to get an open line. Once again, the number 576-7798. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to the phones.
The voice of Merrill.
And then you've got cops who are upset because they're being pelted by farmer wind.
Weekdays from 9 to 11.
Step away from the spatula.
Proud to be Kansas City's FM news and talk station.
That is Oneida. Do not be throwing Oneida.
On News Radio 98.1 FM.
Sir, is that from Williams-Sonoma? Would you throw that at Bill? His wife has wanted one of those for a long time. Thank you.
And 980 AM KMBZ.
This is Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. If you're like a lot of people and just hate your toilet because it gets plugged so frequently, and if you're at the point where you're saying, I'm sick of this, I want the best flushing toilet known to mankind, then you want a Gerber Ultra Flush toilet. It still only uses 1.6 gallons of water per flush, but that 1.6 gallons of water is stored in the toilet tank under pressure, and when it's released, you've never seen a flush that powerful in anybody's home. It's really dramatic. Often people will put things down toilets and public restrooms that they wouldn't in their own homes, like rags or handy wipes or tampons. Or maybe you have a family member with large, firm stools. Whatever the reason, if you really want the most powerful flush available, you want a Gerber Ultra Flush toilet. You can see the flush in the live models in my showroom, too. Gerber Power Flush toilets installed by Dick Ray, the Master Plumber, the best that money can buy.
KMBZ.
This is Dick Ray, the Master Plumber at Shawnee Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. When it comes time to spruce up your kitchen or bath, if you want your new kitchen or bath to end up looking just like all your neighbors, just go down to the closest home center and choose from the same fast-moving product that home centers just love to stock. Stuff your neighbors just chose from. But if you want something different, something nicer, something not just like all your neighbors have, then you're going to have to come to a really nice, larger showroom like my Kohler registered showroom, where you can pick from a much wider variety of faucets and kitchen sinks and toilets and whirlpools and stuff like that. Really nice stuff, not just like all your neighbors have. Kohler fixtures and faucets installed by Dick Ray, the Master Plumber, the best that money can buy.
He wrote the book on Steve Jobs, and he's coming to Kansas City. The News Radio 98.1 FM and 980 AM KMBZ Business Forum, presented by Barber Financial Group, with special guest Walter Isaacson. Tuesday, December 6th, 11:30 a.m. at the Marriott Mulebach Tower. Register online at kmbz.com.
And we're back. Hey, the sun's coming out. It's cold out there, but that sun's coming in the window. It looks good. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. These really nice girls I met last night, they couldn't believe that I really was the guy I was with was bragging me up and says, yeah, this is Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. He's famous. He has a talk show. You should listen tomorrow. And actually, I started on another station it's been over 20 years ago. And it turns out that one of the girls I was talking to last night worked for the same station. And one of the things I learned about in the world of radio years ago, especially with on-the-air personalities, is if you want a long-term secure job, do not be an on-the-air personality. Boy, they get fired like crazy. And Rod's in there giving me the high sign. I think he knows about that. It just doesn't happen in the world of radio. And, I was at this station, and I'd been there for a couple of years, and the station got bought by another company, and they fired all of the on-the-air personalities except Mike Murphy. You can't fire Mike Murphy, They kept him, but they fired me, and I found out talking to her last night, she got fired at the same time. So we were commiserating with each other about getting fired at the same time 20 years ago. So I guess she and I have been old friends for 20 years now, you think? I didn't even know her at the time. But anyway, with that, we're going to get to the phones here, and we will start with Dale. Hi, Dale. What can I do for you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm going to become a first-time snowbird this year, and I'm going to be shutting off the water system to the house.
Yeah.
And I got on the internet and found some different opinions on the right and the wrong ways to do this sort of thing. I know to shut the water off at the house, and my big question, I guess, is do you or do you not drain the hot water heater when you're going to go for a few months? Oh,
is the water heater down in the basement?
Yes, but it's next to the furnace.
Yeah, well, it was down in the I live in an underground house, so I have a lot fewer worries than you do. And I think the biggest worry of moving away for a few months is what will happen if something happens to the furnace and the heat goes off, and if it gets if the furnace goes off during a cold spell and pipes freeze and break, and then when the lines thaw out, the water sprays everywhere, and you just have a holy disaster when you come back. And that's what you don't want to do. And when I used to live in a conventional house, I never left town for months like you're getting ready to, but when I'd go out to Colorado and go skiing, I would always go down into the basement, and because I've seen this in my business. I've seen the water damage, the tens of thousands of dollars in water damage that can get done when a pipe breaks and nobody is at home. And the only thing I did, and you've already mentioned this, is go down into the basement, shut off the main water valve. Now, there are other things that you can do. You mentioned draining the water heater. Well, if the water heater was upstairs in an area where it could freeze also, that might be a good thing to do. But in this part of the country, generally water heaters are down in the basement like yours, and the basement's underground, and even if the heat goes off, it's not going to get down to 32 degrees in the basement, so the water heater's not a very big concern. Now, if you want to do even a better job, and I never did this when I went skiing in Colorado, but if you want to do a better job, then you not only shut off the water down in the basement at the main valve, but you also open every single faucet in the house, flush every toilet, and then you go down in the basement and open all the faucets down there, with the idea in mind being that you're going to drain as much water as possible out of the water lines, the water that's upstairs, which is where you have to worry about freezing pipes. It will drain down into the basement and leak out of the faucets down there. And so, and I don't know, if you really want to get paranoid or be extra safe, then you can go down to the auto parts store, buy a gallon of antifreeze, and put a little bit of antifreeze in all of the traps of the fixtures, because standing water in a trap can freeze also. Put a little antifreeze in the toilet bowl and a little in the lavatories and the kitchen sink and laundry traps and stuff like that. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that sure does. Well, a little trick I found out on the internet you might want to remember is that if you take and freeze a little bowl of water and put it in your freezer, freeze it solid, then you put a coin on top of that little bowl, and then you come home, you'll know if your refrigerator...
if the power went out.
Yeah, power went out because the coin would sink.
Yeah. That's a good tip. But boy, I'll tell you what, just because of the business that I am in, I've seen the damage that water can do. And so that's why when I went skiing in Colorado, I shut off the main water valve. And that's also why when I do a load of laundry, and as soon as I'm done, boy, I shut off the hot and cold water, because I have seen so many burst washing machine hoses. And if you're not home when that happens, even if you're just gone for a half hour, an hour, it can do thousands of dollars worth of damage. And you see that a few times, and it makes you a believer.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, this is my first time for this long of a extended length of stay.
Yeah.
So I just didn't quite know if I should drain it or not. And I know I was going to turn I have a hot water heater, so I was going to turn the gas off.
Yeah.
And drain it, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
The water lines.
Yeah.
And open up the doors on the outside.
Well, that's good stuff. The more stuff you do, the better. At a minimum, shut off the water. There's a lot of things you can do to protect yourself even more. And when we get off the air, I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to have Rod give me your address wherever it is you're going this warm, and I may find you down there. Hey, I appreciate the call, Dale.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Actually, I love Alaska. I've ridden my motorcycle up there 3 times now, and and now I've got friends that live up there, and they were visiting over the last few weeks, and actually I met them up at Llewellyn's to listen to this Flanagan's Right Hook band, and I mentioned to them that, God, I would just love to go back up there and visit you guys in January or February, when the temperature gets down to 50 below zero. I just really would like to experience that. I'm crazy, I guess. And anyway, it just so happens that my friend Adam, he is getting ready to start a new business, and I'm going to be his guinea pig maybe this winter. He's going to take people out. himself and 2 other people on snowmobiles, just 3 people, and take like a 400-mile trek up the river and stay in the national park cabins, which probably aren't in very high demand this time of year. And anyway, people think I'm crazy. I'm going the wrong direction. Most people are going to Arizona or Florida, and I'm going to Alaska in January or February, 50 below. But I don't know. To me, that is very appealing. And Rod says I'm over for the news break, so I'm going to shut up and we'll get back to the business at hand here. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. All the lines are lit up. We're going to break for the news, and we'll be right back.
11:30 in Kansas City. From the KMBZ Newsroom, I'm Mark Stubbs. Herman Cain's departure from the Republican presidential race has political observers reassessing the field. In Iowa, where the first nominating contest will take place next month, the Des Moines Register has a fresh poll out that puts Newt Gingrich on top with 25% of the support, ahead of Ron Paul at 18% and Mitt Romney at 16%. Republican Party Chairman Reince Priebus tells NBC that Cain provided an important voice in the race, but candidates come and go during every primary. Firefighters say a massive World War II-era bomb that triggered the evacuation of half of Germany's western city of Koblenz has been successfully defused. Some 45,000 residents living within a mile radius of the 1.8-ton British bomb had to leave their homes in one of Germany's biggest bomb-related evacuations since the war ended. In sports, the Chiefs get underway at noon in Chicago against the Bears. Kansas City trying to snap their 2-game losing streak. Now your exclusive Weather Channel forecast. Mostly cloudy through the middle of the day. Some sun later this afternoon. Our high today 40. Cloudy tonight, 25 for the overnight low, and partly cloudy on your Monday with a high of 34 degrees. Currently 31 at KCI. It's 31 in Gladstone and 32 at your official weather station. I'm Mark Stubbs. Stay connected with 98.1 FM KMBZ and KMBZ.com.
This is Dick Ray, the Master Plumber at Shawnee Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 75 years ago, tile showers never leaked because they built them differently then. Today, all that's changed, and tile showers that leak through the ceiling of the room below the shower are commonplace, and fixing those leaks and rebuilding showers to a higher standard has become a huge part of my business. Often these leaky showers just get to looking like hell. Tile falling off the wall and nasty mildewed grout joints. If this sounds like your shower and you want something better, you really should stop by my showroom and see the full-size shower displays. We've got showers made of swanstone and corian and onyx and even real granite. And if my guys install it, it's guaranteed against leaks for 15 years. High-quality showers installed by Dick Ray, the Master Plumber, the best that money can buy.
KMBZ.com.
This is Dick Ray, the Master Plumber at Shawnee Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Low humidity in your home means dry, itchy skin. It also means a dry environment where bacteria and viruses thrive. It means you get sick more often. For over 40 years, I've sold only April Air humidifiers because they're the best. Always have been. But now they're even better. A few years ago, April Air invented the first truly automatic humidity control system. With its outdoor temperature sensor and microprocessor, April Air makes all of the adjustments automatically on a daily basis that you used to have to make manually. The result is you can have the right humidity levels that you need for health and comfort without the daily manual adjustments you used to have to make and without over-humidifying your home. April Air, installed by Dick Ray, the Master Plumber, the best that money can buy.
Hey, it's EJ, and every weekday morning, Ellen and I bring you the most news on FM.
Kansas City's Morning News. News Radio, 98.1 FM, KMBZ.
And we're back. You're listening to the Home Improvement Hour with Dick Ray, the Master Plumber. I think I'm telling too many stories here. We've lost a couple of calls. They're probably saying, is this guy ever going to quit talking about going to Alaska and get down to what we're supposed to be talking about? Anyway, we have 2 open lines. We'd love to have you join us. All you got to do is pick up the phone, give us a call. Our number is 576-7798. We'll be glad to talk about whatever question you have or whatever do-it-yourself project you got going, or that funny noise that your furnace is making that's making you nervous as it's getting colder here. Anyway, our number again, 576-7798. We're going to get right on the phones here, and we will start with John. Hello, John. What can I do for you?
Dick, I've got a question about a UV air purifier. I'm looking to add one in my furnace in the ductwork, and I just wanted to get your comment on. I've got a Train electronic air filter in the system. Okay, yeah. and I'm just kind of trying to figure out. I have allergies and such. Looking to see what you think about adding the UV lights to the ductwork.
I think UV lights are a good thing. Actually, the first time I ever heard of a UV light installed in a heating and air conditioning duct system was from a customer of mine, and this was years ago. And her doctor had prescribed it to her. I don't remember what her medical condition was, but the doctor says you've got to get rid of bacteria and viruses and the air flowing through your house. And so we installed a couple of UV bulbs above the evaporator coil in the furnace. I think that's the best place to put them generally. The idea is that, and these have been used in hospital operating rooms for years. I mean, talk about a place where you don't want bacteria and viruses in the air. If the doctor's cutting you open and you're laying on the operating table and, your guts are laying there exposed to the air, you don't want bacteria and viruses in the air where you are laying. And so, I mean, there's no doubt that ultraviolet light will kill bacteria and viruses. I actually use an ultraviolet light system to purify the water in my house. I get my water out of a spring, and it's got so much bacteria in it, you can see the little boogers swimming around in there practically. There's that many. And so I use the UV light to purify the water so that I can drink it and not get sick. And
Lennox has a couple different models. One of them is a 120 volt, I think, and one of them is a low voltage. Is there any difference in those two systems?
No. The ones that we have installed are the 120 volt systems. If you put in one that runs on low voltage at 24 volt, then you've got to have a big transformer to power it, and that's just one more thing to go bad. I'd put in the 120 volt system. Generally, they're going to go in the plenum right up above the evaporator coil where they shine down on the coil. If you think about it, that's an ideal location because you can kill the bacteria and viruses that are floating around in the air. And also, the evaporator coil in the cooling season is a moist, dark, damp place, and it's kind of an ideal breeding ground for, stuff like mold and mildew that you don't want. And so the UV light will kill that kind of stuff too.
About what does something like that cost, Dick?
Oh, golly, now you got me at a disadvantage. If you give me a holler Monday at work, I can tell you exactly.
Okay. I don't have a lot of room in the plenum above the A-coil. Is it still advantageous to put it in the return air, or is it better not to have one then?
They don't take much room. I mean, they're just little bulbs, an inch in diameter. There's two of them. We usually put in a two-bulb system where there's one bulb on each side of the coil, so you shine on both sides of the A-coil.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
You bet. Appreciate the call. Good calls today. Hey, that opens a line. We actually have two open lines now. Would love for you to give us a call and tell us what questions you have. Our number, 576-7798. And let's see. With that, we're going to go to Walt. Hello, Walt. What can I do for you?
Hello. Yes. I have got a kind of a water hammer problem, I think. And actually, I maybe spoke to you about that one evening this past week, and I've done some research, and I've got some answers for you now that kind of make this even more of an intriguing problem.
Mm-hmm.
I guess typically water hammer sounds come after you shut the valve off in the house.
Water hammer comes as you're shutting the valve off. If you shut a valve off rapidly, the water comes screeching to a halt, and it's just like a hammer smacking an anvil.
Okay, well, so this sound is happening when you turn the water valve on in the house. And I pinpointed the sound is coming from the expansion tank that's nearby the hot water heaters. I got two direct vent water heater systems. And actually, I'm standing down in my basement now, and I'm fairly near it, and I can hear it as my wife upstairs is turning on water. I hear it making a little bang sound. So I did check my pressure in my house, and it is at 60 psi for the home, and then 120 coming from the street. Is that a pressure that is? I mean, what's the pressure? Should the pressure be for the house? Is that
the pressure? The pressure should be. Have you got your radio on in the background there?
Nope, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I can stand outside maybe.
Oh no, that's okay. Okay. The normal water pressure, well, the plumbing code says that if your water pressure is over 80 psi, then you need to put a pressure reducing valve on the main line coming in the house to reduce it down below that. Normal pressure would be anything below that, 60, 70 psi. Now, if you say this noise happens when you open the valve, that is not water hammer. It's a different problem. And you say that is... God, I got a terrible echo here. I don't know what's going on.
I'm on an iPhone here. I apologize. I hear you perfectly on my end.
Okay. Well, I can just hear myself twice here for some reason. But anyway, if the noise occurs when you turn the water on and you say you hear this noise down by the thermal expansion tank, usually the thermal expansion tank is right next to the water heater. Is that the case?
It is, yes.
Okay. I'm wondering if it's not the water heater itself. One thing that you can hear when you turn on water is, when you turn on water, you can hear a rumbling noise in the water heater sometimes, and it's just a very short-lived thing. And it is water that was, that's trapped underneath the lime deposits in the bottom of the water heater, and I don't know exactly why. Sometimes that rumbling noise is a continuous kind of thing as long as the burner's on, but a lot of times you get it for a very short few seconds right after you turn a faucet on.
These are like 1-year-old water heaters, and I thought maybe it's because the pressure in the expansion tank is exceeding the pressure of the house, and that equilibrium is in challenge between the two. So I did check the pressure of the tank, and it was at 70 psi. So I released air. I got it down to 64 psi. I guess I should adjust it and get to the 60. Do you think that's a probable cause?
That's not it.
No.
I mean, it is true. You want the air pressure in the tank to be approximately the same as what the water pressure in the house is, but it's not a critical deal. And if they're not exactly the same, it's not going to cause any noise. This is one of those things that makes plumbers say, maybe I ought to start drinking when you hear a problem like this. And it might be the kind of thing that, when we hear it, say, oh, I know what that is. But
technicians to come out here and then just hear it for themselves.
Yeah, may have to do that. But it's not water hammer. Water hammer occurs when you shut the water off, so it's something else.
Yeah, okay.
Okie doke.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, appreciate the call.
Bye.
All righty. Boy, that echo is driving me nuts. I don't know what it is. Modern technology. We'll blame it on the iPhone, okay? Couldn't be anything. Who knows? Anyway, that opens the line. If you'd like to join us, our number is 576-7798. Phone lines have been nice and busy today. I guess I always try and, like to think that's because I'm such a magnificent talk show host that they just would love talking to me, and so the phone lines are lit up. But in reality, it probably maybe it's because it's too cold outside to go do anything outside, so hey, let's go listen to that darn Dick Ray. Don't have anything else better to do. Anyway, it's often difficult to get an open line during this show. I've heard that for years from callers. And with that in mind, again, I'm going to say the same thing that I always do. And what I am doing really is giving you an invitation for you to call me. And you can call me anytime during the week. You don't have to wait until this show comes on the air to call. You need a little free advice on a project you're working on. You don't need to feel like you're imposing on me. You can call me after 5 o'clock at night. You can call me on Saturday or Sunday. You can call me right after the show if you weren't able to get in. And I don't mind, and I'm serious about that. People think I'm crazy, inviting calls during my time off period. But, in honesty, a lot of the calls that I do get are from somebody that just wants me to come out and do the work for them. They either don't have the time or they just don't want to mess around with it, and so they'll call me to take care of the problem or do the work. And of course I like that because after all, that's how I make my living. But I am being completely sincere when I say that I absolutely don't mind you calling, even if all you want is a little free advice on some do-it-yourself project that you're working on yourself. And I'm very easy to get in touch with because my normal business phone rings straight to my cell phone after normal business hours. So really all you have to do is remember one number. Here it is, so you can jot it down for future reference. It's 913-888-0550. I am very sincere in this offer. Don't feel guilty when you call me. Everybody does. They usually start with an apology. Well, you don't need to feel that way because I don't look at it that way. The way I look at it is, hey, I am in the service business, and if I only want to talk to people when it's convenient for me, I've lost sight of what the meaning of being in the service business is all about. Anyway, I give out a lot of free advice and information to a lot of people, and I do it willingly, so do not hesitate to call. Once again, the number is 913-888-0550, and with the sun shining in the window here on me, we're going to get back to the phones. That sun looks good. Let's see. Let's talk to Mike here. Hello, Mike. What can I do for you?
Yes, Dick. I had a running toilet. I went to replace the stopper, so I shut the toilet off behind the toilet, and the valve broke off in my hand.
Oh.
So
the valve underneath, the shutoff valve under the toilet broke off?
Right.
Ooh.
So actually got the replacement pieces, put all that together yesterday, put it back, a pressurized valve on, and I still got a very, very slight leak, maybe a drop every 30 seconds or so that it might be coming through the threads or something, and just was looking for some advice.
Okay. The pipe, the fact that the valve broke off in the first place makes me think that you must live in an old house and the pipe coming out of the wall or the floor is threaded galvanized pipe. Is that the case?
No, it's copper. The house is probably 15 or 20 years old.
Oh, really?
It's the handle on the valve that broke off more specifically.
Oh, the handle broke off. Okay.
Yeah, right.
And where is the leak specifically?
It's kind of coming out where the copper pipe meets the bolt.
Oh, where the copper pipe meets the compression nut.
Right.
Okay. And so that's the large copper pipe that's coming out of the wall. That's where the leak is?
Correct.
Okay. That's really easy to fix. All that means is you need to tighten that nut a little bit more. And you actually will need 2 wrenches to do that. You want to hold the valve with 1 wrench so that it won't turn, and then put another wrench on the nut and tighten it just a little bit more, and it won't take much.
Do you need any adhesive or
nope.
Nothing else? Okay.
That's a compression fitting. There's that big chrome-plated brass nut, and then there's a brass ferrule that's on the pipe, and it's a compression fitting. Needs no pipe dope, no sealant of any kind. Just needs to be tightened a little bit.
Great. Thank you for your help.
You bet. I just love helping people with easy problems like that. That's something that is going to be really easy for them to fix. The ones that are, oh, God, the calls that just make you feel bad are the ones where somebody calls you up and you just know that there's no easy way to fix what they're wanting to do, and it's going to be expensive. And anyway, but that should be an easy one. We're going to talk now to Terry. Hello, Terry. What can I do for you?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I have not had ductwork cleaned in my house for 25 years and have no clue who to go to.
Okay.
I've noticed the ads, and there's a big difference in cost.
Yeah,
Some advertise $45 for the whole house, and then they go up from there.
Yeah.
Can you recommend someone?
Yeah, I sure can. And, duct cleaning is no different than anything else. There's always, there's going to be fine prices all over the board. And that's the same in the plumbing business or the air conditioning business or the electrical business. Usually if you pay too little, you feel good because you didn't spend as much money. The only problem is you don't get the job that you wanted. And the company that I'm going to tell you to call is Midwest Duct Cleaning. And you want to talk to Randy Adams, and I don't have his phone number right here, but Randy is a good guy, and I've known him for several years now, and he'll do a good job. And I don't.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And by the way, those of us that listen to you, we enjoy you for your wonderful personality along with your knowledge. So don't cut yourself short.
Oh, really? Well, then how come it is that I can't get a date, I mean, I would think I would think I'd at least be able to find a gold digger, That's what makes me feel bad.
Well, think positive. You're going to Alaska with 50 below. I bet there'll be plenty of ladies up there that'll give you some attention.
Yeah.
You have a good day.
Well, there's fewer ladies in Alaska than there are here. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe when, I'm getting ready to date somebody, they find out I'm going to Alaska in January, and they may say, I don't want any part of this guy.
That may question your mental health.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, golly. Yeah. I don't know. That I don't like the word crazy. I don't like it when people call me crazy. I prefer the word colorful. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I am. I'm going up there and looking forward to it. I'll tell you, 400 miles on a snowmobile when the temperature gets down to 50 degrees might not be most people's idea of a good vacation, but I'll tell you what, to me, I'm thinking about Jack London and To Build a Fire and all this wonderful stories of the past, and I want to live it. I'm crazy. Oh, golly. Let's see here. Let's go to, let's talk to Doug here. Hi, Doug. What can I do for you?
Hey, yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a 3-bedroom house. It's got a full basement in it. It was built in '94.
Mm-hmm.
And about the last 8-9 months, every time we turn the water on, whether it be the washer or flush the toilet, we're getting a whistle coming from the basement. And when you go down there, it sounds like the whistle or the loud noise is coming from where the water pipe's coming into the house.
Okay. And it's
pretty loud too.
Makes this noise, hot water, cold water, everything in the house.
Everything.
Okay. Well, and it sounds like it's coming from where the main water comes into the house. Well, the first thing is that the noise caused by the flow of water has got to be in a pipe or a valve where every drop of water flows through, and that eliminates a lot of things. It's either got to be there are 3 things that it is more likely to be. One is a problem with the main shutoff valve. Maybe the main shutoff valve has got if it's an old globe valve, maybe it just needs a new washer in it. Another possibility, if your house on the main water supply has a pressure reducing valve, and about half of the houses out there do, right there by the main shutoff valve, just downstream of it, usually a foot or so away. If you have a pressure reducing valve, that also is a good possibility for a source of that whistling noise. And then the last thing is the water meter. And you're going to say, hell, the water meter's out in the front yard. I wouldn't even be able to hear that. But you can sometimes. So anyway, one of those 3 things is probably the source of the problem. If it is the pressure reducing valve, it'll probably have to be replaced. If it's the main shutoff valve, might be able to get away with just putting a new washer in it. And if it's the water meter out at the street, that's the best thing that it could be, because then the water department will fix that one for free. So maybe the thing to do is call the water department and let them come out first and check the water meter, because if that's the problem, they'll fix it for free, and you don't have to call somebody like me who's not for free.
Yeah, exactly. Is it a pressure problem? Like I'm getting too much pressure?
Nah, well.
Or too less?
Yeah, I mean, you said a whistling noise. It's not just a sound of rushing water, right? It's actually a whistling noise.
Yeah, it's loud. I mean, you can hear from the other end of the house.
Yeah. If it's a whistling noise, I don't think it's a pressure problem. High water pressure can cause noise associated with a lot of flow through a valve, but that's more of a rushing water sound. Maybe you'd call it whistling, but...
Yeah, maybe it is,
And if it's a pressure problem that's causing this noise, and if your water pressure in your house is up over 80 psi, You may have to get somebody like me out there to put a pressure reducing valve in to reduce the pressure down to 60 or 70 pounds.
Okay. I appreciate your info, and you have a Merry Christmas, and God bless.
Well, thank you, Doug. Merry Christmas to you, too. I'm one of those politically incorrect guys that says Merry Christmas, and I don't care what people think of me. That's another thing about being colorful, you really don't care about being politically correct, and that would describe me pretty well, I think. Hey, I'm having fun today. I had a good time last night, and it's kind of carried over into today for some reason. I don't know what's going on. That opens the line, 576-7798. And let's see. We're going to talk to Betty, and there's something about 200 years old. Betty, you're not 200 years old, are you?
No, not quite.
Not quite? Okay. I'm not either, but I feel like it sometimes. What can I do for you? Huh?
All the time I feel like it.
I understand that perfectly. What can I do for you?
What's the matter with this darn Lennox furnace? It blows real cold air. Feels like the air conditioner is on, and it takes a real long time. I mean, it does that for a long time, and then finally it'll come on.
And then it'll come on. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when the furnace comes on, it blows a lot of cold air out of the register, and then it finally starts getting warmed up.
It feels like I've got the doors open.
Okay. How old is the furnace, Betty?
I think it's about 10 years old.
10 years? Oh, okay, that's not very old. It depends. I mean, there are so many different control systems on furnaces now, and I'm a Lennox dealer, so I know Lennox as well as anybody out there. But a lot of times there are some pretty simple adjustments that you can do to make the furnace come on not quite so quickly. I mean, the normal sequence of operation of a furnace is the thermostat says, hey, it's too cold up in the house, let's turn the furnace on. And the first thing that happens is the burner in the furnace comes on. And then there is a delay period waiting for the furnace to warm up, and then the blower comes on. Well, maybe the blower's coming on too soon before the furnace is heated up enough. And on most furnaces, there's an adjustment for that so that you can make the furnace come on a little bit later. Now, it makes the furnace a little bit less efficient, but who cares if you're uncomfortable, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. It really is.
Yeah.
And then I just now turned the furnace up to 80. Because then it gets warm in here,
Yeah. Well,
But my gosh, that's enough to drive you nuts.
Yeah. It's probably a simple adjustment. It probably is, Betty.
You think so?
Yeah, probably so. And if you, but it's probably not going to be something that you can do yourself. A lot of the newer furnaces have circuit boards with dip switches on it, and you can.
This furnace is in the crawl space.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well,
it's hanging on the wall, the floor.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you need any help with that, give me a holler, and I can get one of the guys out to check it out. I'm guessing that it's probably not going to be a big thing to fix, probably.
Oh, okay.
All righty.
Hey, thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Betty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All righty. Let's see. We're going to talk to Mike here. Hello, Mike. What can I do for you?
Dick, how you doing today?
I'm great. I'm in a good mood. I don't know what got into me here.
Well, it's contagious because you got me in a good mood.
Those pretty girls last night. I know that's what it was.
That'll do it every time.
It will.
Hey, listen, I replaced the faucet in my kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did it, I put new shutoff valves down below. There weren't any before.
Good.
And I ran these steel lines up, steel-coated lines or whatever you call them.
Oh, stainless steel braided lines?
Right.
Yeah.
And I get this, what I'm going to call water hammer, and I know you just threw that out a few minutes ago with another guy, so it's not water hammer. But when I turn the water on, I get a real loud clank if you will.
Yeah, and it's just at that faucet, right?
It's with this faucet. It's the only one.
Okay. Oh, it's something in the faucet. It's not the water supply, and I'm out of time. I've got to let you go. Can you give me a holler off the air?
Sure.
And anybody else, too, that wasn't able to get in, give me a holler. Give me 5 minutes to get out of here. The number is 913-888-0550. We'll see you next Sunday.
The proceeding has been a paid program for Dick Ray, Master Plumber. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosting guests and do not represent the opinion of KMBZ or Entercom Kansas City.
News Radio 98.1 FM.
KMBZ AM and FM Kansas City.
KMBZ HD1 Kansas City.
Proud to be Kansas City's FM news and talk station.
12 noon in Kansas City from the KMBZ Newsroom. I'm Mark Stubbs. Police in North Kansas City still searching for their missing canine. The dog disappeared near 32nd and North Oak Traffic Way about 4 yesterday morning. The canine's brown and tan and resembles a German Shepherd. He's wearing a black nylon collar. North Kansas City spokesperson Greg Hansen says, as a reminder to you, if you see this dog, it is a police dog.
This is not a pet, and if they think they see that the dog that resembles a German Shepherd, a tan German Shepherd, to please give us a call at 816-274-6032.
A photo of the dog is posted on our website at kmbz.com. Police say 2 people were killed yesterday in separate crashes on Kansas City interstates. About 2 yesterday afternoon, officers said 1 person died in a head-on wreck, 63rd and I-435. Police said it happened on a bend that's been the scene of previous deadly wrecks. Another person died in a crash on westbound lanes of I-70 near Minnesota Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas. Apple founder Steve Jobs was a slave to perfection, and the folks who worked for him knew it all too well.
That would drive people insane. It would drive them, to distraction, but it would also drive them to do things they thought were impossible, and then they get inspired by him.
Walter Isaacson, Jobs' biographer, will paint a fascinating picture of the former Apple CEO when he talks at the KMBZ Business Forum this Tuesday. You can find out more online at kmbz.com and also get your tickets there. Following the BP oil spill in the Gulf, scientists around the world worried about the fate of the endangered bluefin tuna, which spawns in the warm waters off the Gulf. A summit begins tomorrow in Houston to examine the health of the Gulf Coast and the giant tuna. ABC's Joan Bennett has more.
It was feared that the Gulf oil spill in April of 2010 may have been the tipping point for the overfished bluefin tuna, highly prized in Europe and Japan. One 750-pounder this year fetched nearly $400,000 at auction in Tokyo. A fifth of the giant tuna's spawning habitat in the Gulf of Mexico was coated with oil. Government scientists now say last year's spill probably won't push the bluefin over the edge to extinction. What they don't know is how the spill affected adult bluefin, which come to the Gulf from all over the world to raise their young. Joan Bennett, ABC News.
And now your exclusive Weather Channel forecast.
Colder here today, turning even colder, though, for the start of the business week. Cloudy this morning, clouds will break up and let some sunshine in as we head through the midday and afternoon hours, high near 40. Partly to mostly cloudy skies tonight, low 25. Mixed clouds and sun and colder Monday, 34. I'm Ken Boone at the Weather Channel on your official weather station, News Radio 98.1 FM KMBZ.
It's 31 degrees right now at KCI, 33 in Mission, and 33 at your official weather station. I'm Mark Stubbs. Stay connected with 98.1 FM KMBZ and KMBZ.com.
The following is a paid program. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and do not represent the opinion of KMBZ or Entercom Kansas City.
The following is a paid advertisement by Purity Products. These statements have not been evaluated by